I have the honor and the privilege, and I'm so excited, to introduce you to Dr. Gary Salyer. Gary's been on my radio show, and I threw him a loop when he was on my show because I didn't want to talk about just personal relationships, but I wanted to talk about business relationships. And I love the comment you made, which was, God, that's the first time I've had to think about my answers. Because, again, I took him out of his comfort zone, and he was so gracious about being on the show and going in the direction that I wanted to go as the radio show host and where my tribe or my troop is. But I love the fact that Gary is a master transformational relationship coach. And he helps people to really redefine their relationships, both in real close personal relationships. And I have to be honest, my husband and I have been married for 42 years, and he still curls my toes. So I listen very closely to what Gary has to say. He's the creator of the Safe to Love Again workshops, as well as the Extraordinary Couple workshops and programs. And I love the title of your book. His new book, you saw the manuscript over there of Safe to Love Again, How to Release the Pain of Past Relationships and Attract Your Soulmate. He really wants to work to change a generation's fate with love. And I think that is a very extraordinary and powerful message for all of us. Let's welcome Gary Salyer to the stage.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me again, Rebecca. It's been 3 years since I've actually spoken around this area. I've been speaking across the country since then, and it's really been interesting. We're just going to transition from soul tribes to soulmates here. I thought for a while that I was ready to write the book, but something just couldn't write it within me. And I realized I didn't have enough experience with enough generations. I've been saying for 5 years that I wanted to change a generation's fate with love. And what I found out is there are multiple generations with a very similar brand of pain. And I had to speak across the country to really get a feel for where love is. And what I've realized after the last 3 years is that love needs a helping hand. Speaking across the country, I've begun to realize, speaking some of the Gen Xers, more the millennial people, and of course, those of us who are in the boomers. You know, we have our famed 50% divorce rate. Well, down there with the Generation Xers, they are more likely to have undergone 3, 5, or even 10 breakups in the last 2 to 3 years. They get 2 to 3 months into a relationship and somebody's swiping left on Tinder, another swipe left. How can I get that dopamine rush? I was in Phoenix, and I'd heard this before, but there was a young woman, 28 to 32, sitting in the front row, speaking at an event where men were on the left side, women are on the right. And actually, in that reverse, it was reversed because she was over there. And she stands up and she asks the panel of speakers, she goes, "Can you tell me what's going on with love today?" She goes, "For the last 4 years, I've been trying to find that man to settle down with. All I want is a man who wants to settle down and raise a family." She goes, "And the last 5 men have all broken up with me at 3 or 4 months saying, I'm afraid there might be somebody else better out there." She goes, "I want to go back on Tinder because there might be somebody else. And I got to make a right choice, baby." And she goes, "What am I? Chopped liver?" And this was a very good looking young woman. She kind of reminded me of Marianne on Gilligan's Island. She was, and she was saying, all I wanted was to start a family. The pain. She didn't even get her divorces. She just kept getting tendered. Instead of loving me tender, she got love me tender. How can I swipe left? About a year later, I'm speaking, where was it? I think it was Austin. And a man comes to me, and there's a socializer afterwards, and he comes to me, and he's 35, he's 6'2", he's blonde, he's blue-eyed, and he's a good-looking guy, and get this, he's a professional singer, right? And he says, I'm really having a problem dating. And I'm thinking for a second, man, if I had that, I wouldn't. Right? And he says, seriously, he says, and we talked for about 15 minutes at this bar that everybody met afterwards because it was an event with the socializer. He says, what I'm beginning to realize is that, I really would like to find that woman to settle down with. I'm 35, I'd like to raise a family. She goes, but many of the women I'm going out with, he says, my family, my father raised horses, and sometimes we would get abused horses, and they would be flighty. And they would want to buck you all the time. He says, and what I'm finding out is I keep going out with women, and they're like those abused ponies. They've been jacked with by 3 or 4 men, they've been dated, and by the time they get to me, they're flighty. They don't want to commit. And I began to realize, I kept thinking, man, that woman from Newport Beach and Phoenix and this guy, if I could only get them together. This pain is bone deep throughout many generations. Everybody's wanting to know how to go from chemistry to couple, or they want to go from leaving to lasting. And I began to realize the problem is some of the love coaching just isn't that good. I've heard some egregious stuff out there, fun, fashion, flirty. But what we're really missing is a generation. What we have is a generation without a GPS for love. That's why it's the opening chapter, a generation without a GPS for love. Both of these people were in relationships, and I guarantee you their GPS for love was off, or they wouldn't have been with those people. Would you like to know what your brain's original GPS for love is? Yes. Yeah. From the time you're 1 year old, your brain knows it's loved. At 1 year old, there's no story being told. There's no language. There's no limiting belief. How many of you have heard of limiting beliefs? No, limiting beliefs, prefrontal cortex doesn't come online until 3. At 1 year old, we know from attachment science that if you take a child into a room and you separate them from the mother, based on how they return to the mother, whether they come back and they are able to be calm and they are able to go out and play again, or whether they throw a tizzy fit and they can't be resolved, those become the anxious, or whether they just never got bothered in the first place, they weren't expecting mom to give them any much attention, they become the avoidance. We know that those love styles will track. What tells a baby at 1 year of age that they are loved or not? That they are securely loved? It's 4 feelings, my friend. 4 feelings. It's the heart and soul of my book. And those feelings are welcomed with joy, worthy and nourished to have your needs met, cherished and protected, and empowered with choice. So what's welcomed with joy? Welcomed with joy is when that mother looks and goes, oh, you're so cute, cute, cute. Welcome with joy is where we are welcomed into life, and we can be present in our bodies. We have a homecoming of life and love. And we know we belong. The world is our oyster because somebody has welcomed us. The gateway for love is welcomed with joy. How many of you would like to have a date starts off, or how would you like, so nice to meet you? I was just looking forward to this date. It just makes Starbucks so much better. Can I have that cappuccino and a smile, please? So that's what welcome with joy is. For couples, it's when somebody says, honey, did you see that bird out there? They go, oh yeah, that bird, that's like the one we saw at Niagara Falls. That's when we turn toward, when we smile. That's what tells us we're loved. But sometimes we don't always get that. Sometimes we don't have a right to feel welcomed with joy. And when we don't have a right to feel welcome with joy, our brain will automatically pick someone that won't. That's the rub. We are always having the experience in love that we have the rights for. The second feeling that tells us we are loved, if welcomed is the North Pole, the South Pole is worthy of having your needs met. Worthy is, and I wanted you to, is where you can reach out for your needs. It really is. Those without a right to be able to reach out and who are not worthy, they will often have shoulder muscles that pull them back. So they actually keep their bodies from reaching out. And what happens is these people don't feel worthy of having their needs. That means they often will pair up with takers. They don't feel they can ask. So what happens is when you can't ask for your needs to met, you become the queen of resentment. Imagine what it's like to go through life with like little alligator arms. And what I want you to do is stand up for just a second and imagine you're reaching out to love with little alligator arms. Stand up. And this is what people without the right to feel worthy, they reach out with little alligator arms and they do like this. And imagine if the universe is a mirroring universe, not a punishment reward. Now, imagine what happens. Now, I want you to reach out. Reach out for love. Reach out for your dreams. Reach out for your needs. Notice what it feels like. How comfortable are you when you can reach out? Now notice if the universe isn't punishing and it's not rewarding, but it's mirroring, what happens if you don't reach out? Now, the funny thing is every time I have worked with a woman who's an entrepreneur in love, they have gotten a better business. You know why? They have a right to have their needs met. And when they have a right to have their needs met, they feel worthy. Worthy people charge their value. They don't give up freebies all day long. You know why this is the case? You know why every woman that's been an entrepreneur that's worked with me in love has gotten a better business? Because love isn't a program in your brain besides all these other niches like business and health and beauty. My friends, love is the operating system. Love is the operating system. Every template for love and relationships that your brain develops between 0 and 3, and there are 6 of them. They're all in the book. It will swap out for other things like business. It will swap out for other things like health. There is a definite correlation. So you want to feel, so if you want to work, there's a whole thing where a lot of women will say, I've got to work on my business. I don't know how many women have said that, and I know that what's stopping them in their business is also what stopped them in love. There is a correlation. And I say that because I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs here. Now, there's a difference between that and entitlement. One guy in Chicago, he stands up and he says, Dr. Salyer, I'd love to feel more worthy. And now that I'm making 7 figures, I really want to work for my soulmate. And I believe now that I'm 7 figures, I should be able to have my soulmate, and I'm probably deserving of a little better woman, maybe a 9 or a 10 this time around. And this guy actually signed up to work with me. And I asked him, at one time I said, so why don't you try, he told me he went out, he was 37, he wanted to go out with he usually went out with younger women. I said, why don't you try going out with an older woman? So the next session, he says, I went out with an older woman. I go, cool. And after a while, I'm hearing his story. I go, by the way, just how old is this woman? She goes, oh, she's 24. And I thought, man, when did that definition come around? He had a missing right to have his needs met. Deep down inside, he picked a woman. He said to me one session, you know what? I'm so afraid that she's going to find someone who makes 10 million. What sounded like deserving was not deserving. He didn't deserve to be loved. He had entitlement, not deserving. I heard it in San Francisco, and a woman said, I've spent 6 months in the gym, I've lost 40 pounds, and I want a man making at least $250,000 a year. That's the female version of it. And I didn't get a chance to work with her, so didn't get a chance to fix that. But you hear, so worthy is not entitlement. You are worthy because you are a gift of the universe. You have life, and life gives you the right to have your needs met, and let nothing else deter you from that. The other thing is cherished and protected. Cherished and protected is when the little one first gets mobility and they get to be a me. The first time they realize, I am not mom, mom is not me. I get to be a me, but mom is looking over. Mom has the back. Dad has the back. So they get to be a me and a we. They get to be cherished and protected. You know how when the little one goes close to the stair, you go, oh, no, don't go over there. That's protected. And yet, you allow them to play. They get to be a me. So oftentimes, this is the one experience that splits more couples. Because when someone has a split right to be a me or a we, if they only have a right to be a we, they're enmeshed. And then the partner is saying, man, I need some space. Or if they don't have a right to be a we, they're always the Marlboro mate, always seeking that distance, driving their spouse. So there needs to be that beautiful balance. And then there is empowered with choice, empowered with voice. The fourth feeling that tells you you are securely loved is when you are given a voice and it is respected. I love the quote by the therapist Terry Real, there is no relationship without voice, and without voice there is no relationship. When you are given choice and you are given voice, you know you feel loved. And that given voice isn't just mere assertion. It's not just asserting. It is saying your truth to your beloved in a way that empowers them to give you back what you want. That's what secure empowerment looks like. Not just going off on your mate, not demanding, but it's the secure assertion that empowers them to give back. One couple I worked with, they were single. She was single. She was in a bad relationship, got her out of that. And then she meets her high school sweetheart. They get back together. But in the last 26 years, he had been in a marriage and had no ability to create his own experience, no ability to be empowered. She had been through 2 divorces, and her big one was she had no right to belong. So comes up, what happens? They get together, they fall in love, and eventually had to work with both of them because he could not create his own experience. It was meant at Christmas. His ex-wife and his kids said, we don't want to have anything to do with your new girl and let's exclude her. He had no ability to speak up because he never had the right in the first place from his childhood, and so she got excluded. What do you think that hit in her? Her missing right to belong. And when she didn't belong, she went after him, which took away his right to be empowered. And so it was her missing right to feel cherished and protected, fueled into his missing right to feel empowered. And when we gave her back the right to feel really cherished and protected, and him the right to be empowered with choice, he could choose to belong to her, and when she belonged to him, she could empower him. They're now married. And now her business went from to being international. She works with an International Children's Foundation. Her business took up. Her business flew. This is what it takes. So if you're missing one of those feelings in a relationship, you're probably thinking, this is your new GPS for love, my friends. It's, yes, there's some chemistry. Yes, there's some soul alignment. But if you're not feeling these 4 feelings in a relationship, something's off. If you're missing 2 of them, you're thinking, oh my God, I probably should be in therapy. And if you're not missing 3 or 4, it's toxic. I had 4 women who didn't have the right to really feel cherished. They had no right to be. They were all 7 figures. 7 figures. So they had the right to be worthy. All of them had boyfriends that wouldn't give them the proper support. Guess what their staffs were good for? Not being there. All of them had a staff. When they swapped out better boyfriends, they swapped out their staffs. All 4 7-figure coaches. The staff mirrored the boyfriend. The one said to me, oh my God, I think I've got the same staff as my boyfriend. Bingo, Yahtzee. Now maybe the most important thing that ever happened to me, looking across, was in Phoenix. And I'll leave you with this. We were on stage in Phoenix, and a woman stands up toward the end of the show, and she goes, I'm not sure I deserve love. She goes, I'm twice divorced. And I looked at her, and I could see the tears in her eyes. And she goes, my first husband gave me herpes, and my second husband gave me AIDS. I would love to be able to design and create a relationship. How do I deserve a soulmate? And she said, Gary, what does neuroscience say about this? So I stood at the end, and I looked at her and I said, I don't know you, but I know that neuroscience has no answers. So I will just answer you from my heart. If you can still want love after all that, that tells me you have one of the biggest hearts on the planet. And there is a man that's going to love to be loved by a woman with a heart as big and open as yours, because most people have shut down a long time, and I can see you're still open. So don't let anybody tell you that you don't deserve love, because you deserve love. If anybody does, it's you. And I want you to know that you deserve love. Don't let anything stop you. Don't let anything from your childhood, don't let any past relationship, don't let any excuse. Find a way to reach out for love. You deserve it. Love needs a helping hand. It needs your helping hand. Thank you for listening, and I'll be here for you.
Are you a speaker looking to reach more people with your message? You have a global vision that you want to touch the world and make a global difference. If so, I have an amazing opportunity for you. It's called the Speaker Talent Search. Again, that's the speakertalentsearch.com. You'll find all the details, but here are the highlights. With one application process, you get clarity on your message. You get to fine-tune how you want to reach the world. Then you'll have everything ready in one place for the opportunities when they come. Second, we select you as a finalist. You get to come in and audition with a 7-minute audition, open up the door to hundreds of speaking opportunities. I hope you lean in. I hope you say yes. We would love to hear your message. Help you touch the world powerfully. Again, that's the speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your powerful message. Hi, I'm Rebecca Gruyter, and I'm the producer of the Empowered Connections TV channel. And I wanted to personally invite you to come on over, enjoy our amazing shows. We are all about empowering women. We're all about transforming lives. We're empowering men to really step out and be all they can be. We are looking for programming and shows to bring things to the next level. So if you are somebody that feels a show birthing within you, you have a calling to bring your show to life and touch the world, please reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation with you. We are launching new programs and shows every week, every month, because we're going to change the world. I look forward to talking to you.